What was weird?
So I'm pretty sure my computer did an update, which is fine. Whatever. It was just a security update or whatever. But FaceTime wouldn't let me dial directly to you. I had to start a new call.
Okay.
I was like, and it wouldn't give me an error. It just wouldn't load.
Just wouldn't work.
You click on the button and it's like, okay.
No.
And I was like,
So, no.
what do I do? And then I was like, new call, Joe. Went right through. I was like, okay,
Alright. Whatever. As long as it works.
I guess. Well, the reason it took so long is because the computer was rebooting and everything was like starting fresh. So it's like, hey, I have to start all these programs. I'm like, oh no, you don't. I didn't have them closed. Well, it's because didn't have them closed when it rebooted. Like I didn't have the programs closed, so it's like trying to reopen all like the News app, GarageBand, Safari.
We're going to pick up where you left off.
Yeah, I'm like,
how dare you be kind of, useful.
It'd be great if I wasn't trying to do something right then and there.
I know, right? See, this is why you just don't update things.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay, good.
Just not update anything. Who needs security anyway?
That's that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's what I end up doing at work. Like, I used to be really good at, like, I'm going to reboot my computer every night, and it's going to do all the updates and stuff. And then eventually it was just like, that kind of screws things up. So I'm just never going to restart my computer except on the weekends when I leave.
Yeah, like I need to reboot my work laptop more often than I do because it'll yell at me. It's like, hey, bro,
right?
please. I'm like, no, I don't. When I use you, I need to use you. I can't just sit here and wait for you to do things.
And the fact that not only do they seem to use the slowest equipment possible,
yeah, no shit,
but all the security stuff added on top of that literally makes boot times like 2 minutes long. And that's just to get to the login.
Yep.
Then you log in and then you wait for it to like load all the shit in the background. It's really funny to see at the DDC how we have these the little tiny workstation desktops, and then other people will have laptops, and the desktops actually load faster than the laptops for some reason. Even though they're probably pretty much the same specs. I haven't looked into it, but there's no way that this tiny workstation has more power. I mean, there is a way, but like you would think that they'd be pretty much equal to each other. Yeah. But for some reason, the laptops just run so slow, even in just like day-to-day tasks, opening stuff and running stuff is just like so fucking slow.
I do notice that sometimes when I use the workstations at the store, I'm like, why does this load better than my laptop does? Like,
yeah, right?
Come on, man. I know, like, you guys have to buy like the fucking cheapest ones because you buy bulk, but
still,
come on, man. Come on, man.
Why? So how you been this week?
Hot.
Hot?
Yeah.
What happened to HorrorCon?
We were gonna go, but it just seemed like it wasn't like the full day. And I was like, and she's like, yeah, there's not much to really do on Sunday other than just shop for shit, because none of the, like, there's no like panels or shit going on. It's just like a vendor day or whatever. And I was like, well, do you not want to go? She's like, not really. I was like, okay,
fair enough.
Yeah.
I actually totally forgot about it until Adam mentioned it to me. He's like, aren't you going to that this weekend? I was like, that's not this. Oh my god, it actually was. Well, I haven't heard anything, so plans probably changed.
Yeah, she's just like, I was like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, fair enough. Whatever. All right.
Yeah.
I'll allow it, I suppose.
I mean, you can still go.
No, I actually need to do a bunch of stuff today.
See?
Like, literally, I made the mistake of actually scheduling my pickup for groceries between 9 and 10. Guess what we're doing between 9 and 10?
Hold on. I know the answer to this. Hold on. Don't rush me.
Not going to rush it. I'm going to give you all the time.
Jump rope.
Jump rope? Yeah, because I look like a person that jump ropes.
Okay, hold on. I get 3. Pickup sticks.
I used to play those when I was a kid.
Oh, so close.
Do I still have pickup sticks somewhere?
Pogs. You're playing Pogs. Are you playing Pogs?
You're just naming things that we used to do as kids.
Yeah.
Fucking slammers and everything. I have to have one of those somewhere.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I do too. Just tubes of fucking pogs and slammers.
Tubes of pogs and slammers. That was a funny thing that my senior at work, we were talking about one day, and then you just have to explain it to other people, and you're like, look, when we were young, you had these little cardboard discs. They usually had some goofy thing on them. Either it was, like, I think I had a set of Alf pogs,
dude.
if I recall right. Then you'd have this heavy-ass slammer, and you fucking just yeet it onto this stack and see how many pogs that you can just flip over, I think it was. I don't even remember the rules of the game at this point. They eventually just at one point just started just slamming things down.
Yeah, there wasn't much. Many people didn't really understand it very well.
Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah.
But speaking of old things coming back, lots of stuff this week, or actually over the past couple of weeks. At least the first article I have here is talk about the Amazon Prime Blade Runner show. I literally just read through this and I can't remember. They haven't started filming it yet, but they have picked up a showrunner and a scriptwriter. Where were their names? Anyway, it stars Michelle Yeoh. It's Blade Runner 2099. Also have Hunter Schafer, Dimitri Arbold, Louis Gribber, Caitlin Rose Downey, and Daniel Rigby in it.
Interesting.
But that's pretty much it. There's no other word of like what it's about or anything. Obviously, it just takes place in the year 2099, which would be what, 50 something years after 2049, almost. You know.
Yeah.
Something like that. Math. I don't know how it works. Math. How does it work? But anyway, yeah. So it's still moving along. There's no date on when it'll be released, but I'm looking forward to it since I love the Blade Runner world.
Oh, it's good times.
I know, right?
It's weird when I read the book. How Androids Dream.
Do Androids
Dream? Yeah. I was like, I get where they come from for the movie, but like the movie is so much darker. Not like visually it is too, because like it's like always nighttime, but like it just seems like everything is so much like more depressing in the movie than it is in the book. Does that make sense?
I'm trying to remember the book fully, and I think what you're saying comes basically most off of visuals, because the book is fairly dark and story tone, but I think adding the visuals to it is what really sets off that tone.
Yeah. And maybe that's what it is, like, too, is, like, I was trying to picture more of the visuals from the movie in the book versus, obviously, you don't have to add visuals to the movie because that's what it is. But, whatever.
Anyway, so still coming. The other weird one that I have here is that apparently they're doing another. Oh wait, this might have been the one that was that added a. Oh, this is the one that has that's even earlier in production that had the showrunner and writer, not the cyberpunk Blade Runner one. Exorcist is getting a new spinoff, or not The Exorcist. God damn it, they mentioned The Exorcist here. It's Poltergeist is getting a new spinoff.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, this is the one that they added. Where is it? Kalinda Vasquez and Robbie Thompson as writers and showrunners. Both showrunners have experience in both television and comic book writing, with Vasquez penning American Chavez, Made in the USA, and Thompson having a long list of Marvel credits. There's not much more to know about it, whether it's going to be a prequel, sequel, or how it's going to really tie in or anything to the original 1982 film. It's just going to be inspired by the film, is what it's quoted as saying here.
It's the best way to do it.
Yeah, right. I do remember that they did make an earlier show. I never watched it, but it was called Poltergeist Legacy. Apparently, it was about a secret society known as the Legacy that would protect the world from the occult. And somehow they just basically retroactively worked in the Poltergeist movie.
Yeah, I think it was like the there was something about the organization training the priests and stuff, and like or not the priests, but like the shaman people, whatever.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Like, I didn't go back into it and see exactly how they tied it into the original film, but I can imagine that, like, oh, they're just going to say that the psychic lady is part of the legacy. That's how you would tie it in. That'd be the easiest way for me to say how it's tied in.
Yeah, that's I don't know, it was weird.
Let's see, what else do I got here? A lot of these are very short ones, but it's just because they're so early in production and whatnot. I'm gonna skip one. I'm gonna head to one real quick because I know you're gonna love this one very much. Borderlands did so poorly that after 3 weeks in theaters, it's going to hit streaming August 30th, which is in 5 days. So I know how much you really wanted to see this movie.
Yep.
So this is your chance now, because obviously you didn't make it to theaters in time to see it. It was so good, so popular, that you're just going to have to basically, I'm guessing, rent or buy.
Definitely not,
because
it
doesn't mention anywhere in here if it's free to stream.
Yeah, it's I don't like those articles when they talk about that, because they need to specify, is it like streaming or is it streaming? You know what I mean? Like, you need to be like, hey, it's gonna be like, because I saw one was like, hey, this it was Furiosa is now on Prime Video, and I was like, what, really? And then it was for rent or buy, and I was like,
that's not Prime Video. It's
that's
available
just
to rent or buy.
Yeah,
I could probably rent or buy it on Apple TV as well.
Yeah, I'm like, that's not. You shouldn't put it that way. You should be like, or if you do, you should put like to rent or buy on Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime, exactly. There's a very big difference on what those two things are. Even this one just says it will now be released onto digital platforms August 30th.
Well, sometimes when that one, I see that one, it usually makes a little more sense, because like digital platforms means like it's gonna be like available to stream somewhere, but like not like, it should specify a little different. Like, hey, like this should be say like, you know, to rent or own.
But that's
on
what I mean.
digital.
Like, is it going to be rent or buy? Is it rent or buy, or is it free to stream? That's all I want to know. I mean, not that I'm really chomping at the bit to go watch Borderlands.
Yeah, no.
I was interested in seeing it with the first trailer came out, but the more I've heard about it, the more it's just like, yeah, this just sounds like garbage.
See, cause I'm a real big Borderlands game fan.
Yeah, you are. I'm pretty sure you pre-ordered Borderlands 4, and that's not possible yet.
Well, you can put it on your wish list on Steam. But I was like, I watched that first trailer, and I was like, man, because I remember reading about like who they cast, and I was like, I don't know, like about that. And then they announced they casted Ariana Green, whatever her name is, for Tiny Tina. I was like, wait, but Tiny Tina doesn't show up until the second game.
Mm-hmm.
So I already don't like this. And they're like, Kevin Hart's Roland. I was like, no offense, Kevin Hart, but you're no Roland. And then I saw the first trailer, and Lilith had no tattoos, but she's supposed to be a siren, and that's like a telltale sign of a siren.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, okay, I'll wait. And then I saw that second trailer, and I was like, oh, this movie's going to be real bad.
I had a little bit of hope that Jack Black was playing Claptrap.
Yeah,
But
don't get me wrong, that's actually really good casting because he does a really good voice work and stuff. But apparently they like, I was watching this video, and like they just make him like even more like just beyond comic relief in the movie. Like he's
people
just
have been saying it's insufferable. It's that
yeah.
bad.
I'm like, oh shit, and they're like, yeah, they really lean into like the potty humor from the third game. And I was like, yeah, that got a little much with the third game for sure. It went away from being like super clever humor to like just kind of like dick and fart jokes.
Let's just yeah.
Yeah. So
Don't get me wrong, some of those can be funny, but like when that's all it is,
Yeah.
yeah, I can definitely see that. But yeah, so there you go. If you want to watch it now, somehow August 30th, 5 more days. Just gotta hold up for 5 more days. Cody. I know you really want to watch it.
I'll wait until it's like free streaming on something because I'm pretty sure that's gonna happen like 2.5 days after.
It's did so bad that we're just gonna be allowing you to stream. They're gonna be like just giving out physical copies places.
Well, so I was watching this breakdown. I can't remember what the name of the channel is, but they basically talk about like the financial side of everything and the fact that like Borderlands could actually make it where Lionsgate could like bankrupt because of how much money they actually lost on the movie.
Let me see if the article mentioned that while you're talking.
And I can't remember actually I can pull the grand total of everything.
So it currently sits at a lowly 10%. And has so far cured only 18.6 million at the global box office. That's global. Wait, yeah, Jesus Christ, against a budget of $120 million, which
Yeah.
I mean isn't really a whole lot per se,
Yeah. But
but only making 18.6 million worldwide.
yeah, according to Wikipedia, it's 23.8 million now box office. But still, that means you're losing like almost $80 million.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, even when it hits like streaming like free wise, you're not gonna make that back enough to do anything. I mean, it's just yikes.
It makes me wonder, budget wise as well. Does that include advertising? Does that include, all the extra stuff that probably goes into this? I can't imagine it might include the licensing for the actual movie as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, and the thing is, like, early talks of the Borderlands movie started like in like 2015, like heavily with Lionsgate, and they were set with a pretty all-star set of people getting ready to make it.
Mm-hmm.
So Ari and Avi Arad, if you don't know who that is, they were early Marvel producers, like with the X-Men ones. But they were they're from the toy company Showbiz or Toy Biz. But they basically helped create like the earlier Marvel movies, X-Men, Fantastic Four, those ones, and then later into they were part of the. They're still involved. They basically helped develop Marvel Studios.
Okay.
On the producing side. Anyways, so they were set to produce it, and then Lee Winnell was in talks to direct. So Lee Winnell, if you don't know who that is, for Joe and for everybody listening, he is co-creator of Saw.
Okay.
With James Wan, but he's also more recently he's got into the directing chair with the new incarnation of the Invisible Man.
Okay.
But he's done a lot of other stuff, a lot of producing, a lot of writing stuff with James as well. Like he's done a lot of that stuff, but he's also done his own stuff. So that was like kind of like the early like team that was going to be working on it. But then that obviously never actually came to fruition. And then this also apparently had some issues because Eli Roth directed it, right? And I think he was listed as co-writing it too. Is that right? Maybe. Yeah, story by Eli Roth, screenplay by Joe Crombie and Eli Roth. But then they needed reshoots, 2 weeks of reshoots, but it was going to happen in early 2023. But Eli was off, already committed to filming Thanksgiving, his horror movie.
Okay.
So they brought in Tim Miller, which you would think, well, that's a pretty good grab, right? Mm-hmm. But apparently, like, his reshoots, like, drastically changed the look and feel of the movie. So, like, there's a bunch of stuff that's, like, really disjointed.
Oh, weird.
Because it goes from, like, this unstylized action to, like, super stylized, long camera pulls, like, crazy stuff, and then back out of it. And it's like, you can, like, people were saying that you can really tell, like, who knows how to shoot action and then who is Eli Roth. And I was like, well, that's kind of fucked anyways.
Right.
But yeah, so, like, it's crazy because, like, then I read about the plot after watching this weird video where the guy was, like, sort of talking about it, but also then, like, not talking about it. Like, he was afraid of spoilers, even though his video title was, had the word spoiler in it. Like, and then this video had a spoiler warning ahead of it. Then he, like, never really delved into the actual, like, story elements. And I was like, all right, well, whatever. He needed a little bit of sprinkling, whatever, but he was mostly, like, saying, like, what the differences were between the characters and their counterparts from the video games. And I was like, all right, I get that, but what's going on in the story?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And so I read it, and I was like, oh, this has nothing to do with them being vault hunters.
What is the story? I actually have no idea what the story of it is. I assumed that would have been them being vault hunters because, well, Borderlands.
Yeah. So basically, they're Lilith is a bounty hunter. Roland is a mercenary, and Atlas contracts Lilith to track down his kidnapped daughter, who is Tiny Tina, and bring her to and basically she's been kidnapped and brought to Pandora, I think what it was. And so they go there, and then she teams up with Roland, who is a mercenary, to help with the muscle, to track down and save Tina and bring her back to her father, Atlas. But Tina didn't get kidnapped, she ran away. So the entire time Lilith is, like, essentially lying to, like, or Tina's lying to everybody or something like that. I can't remember what it was. But basically they find out that Atlas is basically trying to get her back against her will, and so then they go against the forces of Atlas. So Atlas turns on him and attacks him, and then they basically, somewhere in there, they find out about the vault and that it has, like, something in it, and that Tina was, like, crucial to opening it or something like that. Yeah, so they don't even, like, fight the monster that's in the vault. They, like, end up feeding Atlas to it. Yeah, it was like, okay, well, this is stupid. But yeah, she was, it turns out that in the movie, Tina was genetically made with the Iridians, and she is the key to opening the vault or something like that. So instead of, like, the sirens being the ones that are Iridian based that need to open the vaults, it's Tina. And I was like, well, that makes no sense, because Tina's just supposed to be a fucking, like, a fucking, like, maniac who likes to kill people and blow things up. but somehow they're like, hey, why don't we make her the important person? I'm like, no, that's Lilith
Mm-hmm.
and all the sirens, and that's what the whole beginning of the first movie is about, is literally going and trying to find Angel and free her from the control. And I'm like, I hate this so much.
Mm-hmm.
Like, please. This is the problem. It's like, oh, you have a video game for once. You have a video game property. You're not trying to adapt something that's this platformer, Mario Brothers, that hasn't really no actual story to it.
Mm-hmm.
You actually have a video game that has a very deep lore and story, and then you completely ignore all of that and go by literally, like, if you just Google search key points from Borderlands and then use that as your cliff notes to write a story, and you don't even get that correct, you know?
This is the tale as old as time. Like, you have literally a blueprint for a story, and you want to transition it to another medium, usually going from like video game to movie or even comic to movie. But somewhere along the way, you just decide, no, we're going to ignore all that stuff, and we're just going to take the concept and make our own thing.
Yeah.
And it's going to be totally different, totally weird. But it's like, at that point, who's this for? Because you had a fan base. You could have just taken that, made a live action or CGI or some other thing in movie or TV form, but decided to alienate that fan base that you should be bringing over to it. And it perplexes me sometimes on why that took them so long to sit there and go, oh, people want this stuff that is in this content here. They don't want a different version of it over here. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I don't know, dude. It boggles my mind. But
Speaking of which,
yes.
and you'll be a little proud of me here,
Okay.
Secret Level.
Hell yeah, dude.
It's going to be now I will admit that I watched this just before we started. I pulled it up because of an article from Kotaku that states that Keanu Reeves is starring in an Armored Core short film for Amazon. I did not know that this is an anthology series until I watched the trailer for it just before we started here, just as a make sure I watch it, and then also as a refresher here of what's going on. But it's a cool idea. It's very weird to me that they were able to pull this off. So essentially, Secret Level is a show that's going to air on Amazon Prime.
Yep.
And it is by the people, or at least made by Tim Miller in the CGI house Blur Studio. You know,
It's his production company.
Track 2. Ron Blur. Basically, people behind
It's
Deadpool
song number
movie.
2, but yeah, it's fine.
Song 2, there we go, sorry. And Netflix's Love, Death, and Robots. So you already have that, like, idea of the anthology series from that, and we're going to take that, we're going to make a video game anthology series. I'd have to go back through all of the different games that they're going to be doing, but one of them is Armored Core. Armored Core, for those that don't know, is another game that From Software has made. They had a really good explanation of it in here. Where is it? Because I've never actually played it. I've seen like clips of it, but I didn't know. Yeah, here we go. So pilots of the Armored Core for these mechs usually are usually drugged up and spliced with all kinds of weird body horror cyber junk and tasked with keeping their existential crises at bay by blowing stuff up with giant guns.
Hell yeah, dude.
Reeves seems perfect for the part. So yeah, I am excited to see this.
So here,
not just because of this here, but do you have a list of all the different games? Because I think I saw Mega Man in there.
Yeah, so it's Armored Core, Concord, Crossfire, Dungeons and Dragons, Exodus, Honor of Kings, Mega Man, New World, Asterium, Pac-Man, It just says PlayStation, which I'm guessing is like an amalgamation of PlayStation titles,
Mm.
because it includes God of War.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. Then there's Sifu, Spelunky, which I thought was hilarious that they're gonna have a Spelunky thing in there.
Mm-hmm.
The Outer Worlds, which is awesome too, because that's like the whole like that's the like you see Odd. Is one of the characters you see when you first. I was like, that was like Odd, and then I found out what it was. I was like, holy fuck, that was him. Unreal Tournament, which is obviously going to be the characters from the PvP game, and then Warhammer 4,000 or 40,000. 4,000 would be weird. Yeah. In the PlayStation ones, I saw there was Kratos from God of War. Um, uh, what's that? The samurai game, Shinsumi.
Well, it just depends on which one you're talking about. The From Software one, which
No,
is
it was the PlayStation
Shadows
Studios
Die
one.
Twice. Oh, you're talking about Ghost of Tsushima?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that guy, that one. I know he was in there too. There's a couple other things that I was like, okay, that's cool. So it's like be like a little, probably like group of them all kind of together, or whatever. But I was like, yeah, I saw that and I was like, because I saw when they launched it at Gamescom, or was it GSX? They launched it at. I think it was GSX. Anyways, I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. Like, what's Amazon doing with like some of this stuff? Because like it was Amazon, and I was like, oh, because they showed like the picture I saw was Odd from from Oddworld and stuff, and I was like, okay, and then I was like, all right, then that's Kratos. That's weird. And then so I watched the trailer, and I was like, from the makers of Love, Death and Robots. I was like, they make games now? Like, what is happening in this? And then I was like, what it was, and I was like, oh my god,
A little anthology.
yeah. So like, yeah, I was like, that's pretty cool. So yeah, those in there. The Outer Worlds is going to be interesting because like that's like a very, I'm not gonna say bizarre thing, but like it itself is like a satire of things. Like it's because it's like it's Fallout, but like not Fallout, you know. But it's very like almost if Futurama made a Fallout game,
Yeah, to a certain extent.
you know, where it's
I
like
suppose.
it's got satire in it because of the way they do things, but like it has that sort of stuck in like the 50s 60s aesthetic of things, you know, like the way that
Yeah.
the way they talk and things like that. So it's very interesting to see what they do with that one. But this is what's crazy to me about this is looking through all these is the IP acquisition of these things must have been a fucking nightmare to do.
And that's what I'm mainly wondering about it. Like, I'm excited to see this, but is this going to be a one-off thing, or are they going to be able to continue this with other properties? Because it could not have been easy to be like, hey man, just approach a bunch of different companies and say that you want to make a little short story on Amazon Prime about them.
Honestly, dude, like this is how the conversation must have been when they were making Ready Player One, the movie.
Oh yeah, same thing.
Because they're like, hey, I know like none of us really like ever like to work together, but see the thing is we gotta explain this. But this is like obviously a little different because you're not like those. I don't think they're gonna meet like they do in Ready Player One, you know. But
Oh no.
you have Sony on here, you have Hasbro, you have Xbox, you have Amazon, and then you have all the independent studios that aren't owned by them. But like there's Epic Games. There's Bandai Namco, which is like Pac-Man, Capcom, which is Mega Man, Amazon themselves because of their game New World, Aterium or whatever it's called. But yeah, and like it's just weird because like you have From Software, obviously, you have Take Two Interactive, which is working with Obsidian Entertainment, which is part of Xbox, Microsoft Studios stuff. and then Digital Extremes, which is also part of falls under the umbrella of Epic Games, which I guess would also they could do other stuff because Epic has a lot of different games that you could reach to. But yeah, what I was gonna say is, as long as this does well enough, like Love, Death, and Robots obviously has, because they've made 3 seasons of that so far.
Right.
I could see more properties from these studios as well as others being brought across, because a lot of it, they want obviously their IP to be treated properly
Mm-hmm.
and done something where it's not going to be, shitting on it or changing the core of it. Because like I watched it, like I've watched the trailer like fucking 7 times. The Pac-Man one made me laugh because like he's mechanical and has like rotating jaws.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's at the end and it goes, and I was like, dang. But the one, like honestly, like the one that got me like real fucking excited was the Mega Man one.
Yeah.
Because when I was watching it with Paige, she was sitting there and she had obviously no idea what was going on, because she's not nearly as locked into the video game world as I am, or you would be, or even Taj, or sometimes Mike.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw what looked, that silhouette, and I was like, that looked a lot like Mega Man.
Right.
And she's like, I know Mega Man. I was like, yeah, but that's like Mega Man from like Capcom Versus. You know what I mean? Like that was like the more like not digitized 8-bit one. And then they show him reaching for the helmet. And I was like, oh shit, that's like Mega Man Zero.
Yeah.
I was like, please, can we have
Right.
this? What is happening? Like, I need another trailer. Also, I need to watch this. I don't know, like, why I have to wait to fucking December to watch it.
Is that when it's coming out? Because I didn't see that anywhere. In
December
this article.
10th, yeah.
I was looking through it again to see if there was a release date, and I hate that they don't do that. That nowhere in here did it list a release date.
Yeah, because, like, when I was watching it, there's that one scene where you see, like, close-up of, like, a guy, and I was like, that looks a lot like Keanu Reeves. But, like, you can...
It is Keanu Reeves.
Then, yeah, it turns out that I was like, because I thought, at first, I was like, were they doing, like, a Berserker thing? Because that's more of, like, a comic book.
Mm-hmm.
Then I was like, what is this? And then when I looked it up, I was like, oh, he's one of the fucked up mech pilots? Oh, shit. Okay. I'm down.
Right.
Yeah. So that's pretty rad. But yeah, it's interesting because like somehow it was Gamescom. It wasn't GSX. I thought it was Gamescom. Whatever. Or I thought it was GSX. Maybe it was Gamescom. GSX was like the pre-show stuff for Gamescom. I guess this one says it was actually revealed at Gamescom. So I thought it was all done beforehand. Anyways, but it's weird because like I don't know of another. I mean, I can't say Amazon was like, oh, I can't believe they do it, but Amazon MGM Studios is who's producing it. It just seems like it's weird, like because like the poll they had with all these different companies coming together, like it must have been in production for like quite a while. I don't know if it says in here.
I know this doesn't.
It just says it released in 2024, obviously. But it will consist of 15 stories set in the worlds of different video games. And I'm like, yeah, dude, like anthology shows are dope, but also like let them kind of explore the world too. Like you don't have to tell the story of God of War. You can just be like, hey, here's Kratos fucking shit up in glorious CG. You know what I mean?
Does it say how long the episodes are? Because if we're getting 15 different things, like...
No, it doesn't say in here. It literally just lists the properties involved. So those are the 15 they're doing. So, like I said, when it says PlayStation, it just says PlayStation Studios. It doesn't specify one or the other. So we might get like the PlayStation episode might be a 5-minute of this and a 4-minute of this and a 5-minute of this. I don't really know because it doesn't say in here.
I'm wondering if they'll follow, because they already have a template for Love, Death, and Robots. So that's what I'm looking up. Like,
yeah. Let's see here. The trailer was released next event, featuring segments from each of the episodes. The pilot, who features in the Armor Core episode, is the subject of media attention and speculation due to his resemblance to actor Keanu Reeves. Blah blah blah. Yeah. Though Prime Video declined to disclose casting information at the time of the announcement, comicbook.com reported an influx of nearly nothing but replies about Keanu and his potential appearance in the series. Under a post by Armored Core's social media account, IGN's Wesley Yin Poole said that it was not really Reeves. The actor could claim a royalty payment due to the certainty of the character's likeness to his. Game Radar Ali Jones remarked that while the shot could have been simply to be ethically ambiguous man similar to facial hair, they noted the likeness. So is it not been confirmed that he's in it?
I mean, the article here does say sure looks like Keanu Reeves is starring in an Armored Core short for Amazon.
Yeah, weird. This doesn't this says it hasn't been confirmed by anybody that it actually is Keanu Reeves. Interesting.
And I guess the way you read the article title here, it doesn't say it is for sure either, but it seems to just heavily desire it to be.
Yeah, like
the rest of the article, even though it doesn't say for sure. I mean, look, you look at the picture and you're like, that's Keanu Reeves, so why not?
I mean, also like don't get fucking sued.
Exactly. Like if it's not going to be Reeves, don't make it look like Reeves.
Yeah, give him a mustache, or like give him no mustache or something, or like change his nose, because like that looks spot on. Mm-hmm. Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see. I guess if what they give us more about it
over in December.
Hopefully before then. But you know.
Well, yeah, they confirm at some point in time that yes, it is Keanu Reeves, and hey, here's the rest of the list. Because I mean, they eventually did that with Love, Death, and Robots. I mean, I don't remember earlier seasons having any big names in them, which they may have. I just don't remember. But I do remember towards the like season 3, definitely they had Michael B. Jordan in one of them.
Yeah.
And there was somebody else. There was other people in them too. So like they were attracting. That studio had the ability to attract like big name actors to do voices and likenesses. So
and live action appearances on some of them.
Yeah. So I don't. I would highly lean towards that. That really is Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
Like.
Just hasn't been confirmed yet. Probably because they haven't. He's been IMDb doesn't list the cast.
Who's going to be in there? Yeah.
Yeah. So.
The cast. Yeah. Exactly. So.
We'll have to wait.
I can see it definitely being him, and they just haven't announced it yet.
Yeah. Bitch.
Let me see what else I have here. I have to reread this one. I don't remember. This one was from a couple weeks ago that I had saved.
A couple weeks ago.
Well, remember we were talking about
something
the movie we saw last week and
Alien Romulus.
So there are a few things I had saved that had to get pushed off to the wayside. This one was mostly about. Well, I mean, it is about Tom Cruise and what is going on with the space movie that he's supposed to be shooting. And it sounds like it's kind of in a limbo right now. I'm trying to remember who the director of it is, because he basically said, "I still want to do it. It's just that they're not sure when it will be done." So it's not like it's even in any like actual full-on production phase at this point. It's just been sitting in the like, yeah, I'd still like to do it, but just haven't gotten the okay to go do it yet.
Okay.
But they wanted it to be the first like movie film. The other thing about it too is they wanted it to be the first movie actually like filmed in space, but they actually got beat out by a Russian team to do some movie. I can't remember what it's called right now.
Speaking of Russia, or not Russia, but space, I'm trying to see if I can find it again. Um, what's going on with these stranded astronauts? And like
Uh,
NASA
so
said something about
I
their new plan isn't gonna get to them until like February or some shit.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact date, but basically, Starliner is a Boeing uh, crew capsule that had its inaugural flight a few months ago, if I recall right. It was a long and troubled production of the craft to begin with. Boeing missed tons of dates to get it basically ready to go
Sounds like Boeing.
before they finally got it ready to go. And we kind of know nowadays what was the problem with Boeing. They're just having a lot of issues with quality.
Yeah, no shit, huh?
Hopefully, their new CEO can turn things around, but we have yet to see. Anyway, the dude literally just took over like a couple days ago, if I recall right. Because oddly enough, I was watching. NASA had a press conference about Starliner. Starliner is the name of the crew capsule, the Boeing's crew capsule. Anyway, so it got up there into space, into orbit. There was an issue with it during docking, if I recall right. And then once they docked, they found out that, and I'm probably going to get this wrong. There's something with the thrusters the thrusters that they use for maneuvering, and they were talking about it during the press conference yesterday. That essentially, when a certain system would start heating up, the Teflon that is used in the thrusters would start to expand, and that was causing problems with the thrusters. I think there was also some other issue. Was there an issue with leaking on that too? I can't remember now. But basically, they were having all these problems with it, and so they were like, NASA's like, basically, we don't really know if we trust to send the two astronauts back to Earth with this capsule here. Now, apparently, Boeing was like, no, it should be fine. Like, yeah, it's got issues, but like the re-entry stuff should be fine. And NASA's just like, that's good and all, but you know, basically NASA just works off of like risk assessment. That's like NASA's. It just has a huge thing of just risk assessment, and basically there's a higher risk, even though every re-entry would have some sort of risk during re-entry. I mean, you're heating up a capsule with a bunch of people inside, and hoping that it comes back to Earth. So you're going to try and mitigate as many risks as you possibly can. You can just never get it down to zero. So when you have something that possibly increases the risk, you're going to probably err on the side of caution. And so that's what it is with the astronauts are staying on the International Space Station right now. And for the longest time, they just had the Starliner attached to the International Space Station, going, well, okay, what do we do with this at this point in time? And that's what they've been trying to figure out. What they want to do, and they finally decided that they are going to bring it back down to Earth. I don't know what day or time or anything like that, because they were talking about during the press conference that I was watching yesterday on it. And then they decided to keep the two astronauts on the International Space Station until the next. I don't think it's I don't know if it's a resupply mission. I'd imagine that it is. That SpaceX is going to be doing with their Dragon capsule. But they did mention that they are going to have to add new seats to the Dragon capsule to bring back those astronauts as well.
Yeah.
And that won't happen until next year. So those astronauts are, quote unquote, stranded up there until next year with SpaceX. But I believe the Starliner, they're going to detach and bring back down and see if it comes back in one piece within the next month or so.
I was reading this is a Mashable has a thing about the press conference from yesterday, and they talk about how the two astronauts, Sonny Williams and Butch Wilmore, have blasted to the International Space Station, ISS, in a Boeing Starliner, and are now set to remain until February of 2025 due to issues with Boeing's spacecraft. NASA made a long-awaited decision on Saturday, citing safety concerns, as Mashable Science in Space reporter Alicia Sowers covers in detail. Which they say in detail, but this is very vague and doesn't actually give you all the information. But anyways, gives you the bulk of it. The space agency needed to decide about this time in August because of the because port space. I don't know what the fuck that means. Effectively, parking for spacecrafts is limited, and NASA can only also needs to ensure the health of the astronauts, which is what Joe just said. The concerns with the Starliner centered on issues with the propulsion system, thrusters malfunctioning when the Starliner docked, and the engineers apparently haven't devised a sufficient fix or explanation. That's actually terrifying. Those thrusters are important when landing the capsule, considering they keep it pointed in the correct direction, which obviously makes sense because you don't want to like land sideways, or like
you actually have like a certain degree of safety where if you come in too low, then you're going to generate way too much friction with the atmosphere, and it's probably going to burn you up. If you come in too shallow, then, well, I mean, I think Apollo 13 describes it as skipping a stone off of a lake or off a body of water. So you have like a certain degree that you're supposed to, be within. So if your thrusters don't work and you miss that, you miss that window, something bad can happen one way or the other.
Yeah, and then it continues to say the plan dictates that Williams and Wilmore will return to Earth in February aboard SpaceX capsule. The planned 8-day test run of the Starliner will in turn become an 8-month stay on the ISS. The Starliner will be sent back without any crew. Yeah, that sounds like a ton of fun. Also, I had a question about I don't know if you've seen pictures of them or not, but the one dude, the guy who's again, I don't know who he is and what his credentials of being an astronaut are, but Butch Wilmore, and maybe Joe will give me some insight about what I'm about to say. Why does he have tape on his chins?
I would have to look. I don't know.
So there's a photo. This is from Lad Bible of the two of them. I'm guessing these are press photos getting ready to go onto the Starliner. But he's here and he's got tape that goes down from his chin down to his neck. But she doesn't. So I'm just wondering why he has tape on his chins.
I don't know. I've never seen that before either.
Okay.
I can only imagine that maybe he had something that they just made like a bandage or something, but that would be, I don't know.
I don't if they're trying to like, I don't know, is he trying to hold his turkey neck in from like his helmet?
I mean, it's either, I was gonna say it's either that, but I doubt it's that in particular, or it just might be some way of reducing abrasion up against the suit.
Yeah, because his neck is way closer to the collar of his spacesuit in this one than hers is.
Yeah.
And it's funny too, because like in one photo, you can see the tape on both photos, but one photo her hair is out and about, and the other one it's like obviously pulled back into a pony, getting ready to put a helmet on. But he's just chilling with his fucking crew cut and his taped chins, and I'm like, why do you? But then you can see like the gap between her neck and her suit and his. I'm like, was this suit not made for him? Did he put it on backwards? What's happening with this? Like, hey, you're gonna get like your chins are gonna rub on this, so put this like runner's tape on there. We're not gonna have a problem.
Yeah, I can only surmise that it's a abrasion resistance type thing.
All
because
right.
the way that it looks like the spacesuit fits.
Okay. That sucks for him. He's like, oh, hers fits great. His we got wrong. But it's fine. No, don't worry. We got the spacecraft fine. It's good. That one's 100%.
Well, it's
Boeing
one of those
Boeing
things. I don't think
Boeing
that the
approved.
spacesuits are exactly tailored to each individual astronaut. They're just tailored to a certain size.
Well, I thought they were. I thought they were made for the astronaut. Is that wrong?
I don't know.
Oh yeah, you can see in this other photo from Quartz, he's leaning forward and his neck is resting on the collar, and she's leaning forward and her neck is not resting on the collar. So that must be what it is then. It's so he doesn't fucking slit his throat moving around in a spacesuit probably. So they went from being there for just over a week to being over there for over half a year. That's a interesting
Yeah.
thing. Obviously, they're not in a rush to like bring more food up there, so they're good, right? They don't have to, like, they're feeding
Oh
two
yeah.
more people, so it's not like they're running out of like they just eject more poop and stuff into space, but like food wise and stuff, like still has to
NASA always has contingencies in place.
like double like quadruple contingencies mostly, right? Like there's like we need to make sure this doesn't go wrong at all. Huh. Interesting. I was gonna ask you about that, and then I figured, well, we're talking about it, might as well.
So I looked up the spacesuit stuff. I don't know. Like this comes from NASA.gov, but I don't know what exactly spacesuit they're talking about here because they do talk about the Apollo spacesuit, but they say that shuttle spacesuits are quote unquote off the rack. That doesn't necessarily mean these ones. That's what I mean. I just don't know when this article or paper, actually it looks like a white paper, was actually made without really reading through the rest of it. But it basically says shuttle astronaut corps includes about 120 men and women. Now we're talking about space shuttle. We're actually probably talking about the old, Columbia Enterprise shuttle. But the suits for that were made to accommodate a large number of astronauts with widely varying body sizes. Was designed to be made up of many interchangeable parts. These parts, upper and lower torso, arms, etc., are fabricated at ILC in different sizes, inspected, tested, and then shipped to Johnson Space Center where they are inventoried for astronaut corps. So if it's continuing the same idea, then it's just a bunch of interchangeable parts. But the Apollo spacesuits were definitely tailored, according to this, to each astronaut.
Oh, okay. So current ones there's like, hey, we're gonna make generic ones like shoes, and if you
Yeah,
fit in between a 9 and a 10, or like a 9.5 and a 9, I should say, more than a whole size, you'll fit this shoe. You know what I mean?
yes, that's the
So
way I read that.
they're not, and obviously it's not like a it's a thing to help with obviously quality assurance. That way you're not trying to make it like you have to remath oxygen usage and things for every body versus, hey, if you're a large, you're gonna fit in this category. If you're an extra large, you're gonna fit in this category. And they probably have like height differences, and like so like some of them will have a little bit
Exactly.
extra in the midsection versus less. And if you get in one and you're 6'1", and the suit's a little too close in the middle section because you might be a little bigger in a certain area, you'll probably have to step up to the next size, which will give you more room. Or if they're pieced, you can be like, hey, your shoulders are bigger than your gut, or your gut is bigger than your shoulders. Let's do this midsection one versus in this top, and it'll help kind of balance
Yeah,
those two out or whatever.
yeah,
That's cool. I mean, okay, that makes a little more sense. Maybe his is just like they don't have a spacesuit in his body size that has a bigger neck hole for his fucking chins to not grind on the suit.
yeah.
Where she has a long turkey neck and she's like, I could fit in this, but the helmet's gonna rub the top of my head.
Yeah.
I actually had an article saved. This is the last thing we'll talk about.
Okay.
And we can. I was planning on talking about Alien Romulus, but we did not go to that route today. But this article I read yesterday, and I was gonna send it to the group, and I was like, oh, let's talk about. If we talk about news, we'll talk about this. We are. So Ted Lasso heads towards season 4 greenlight with option to pick up for options pickup for 3 core cast members. So this is, you would think, okay, what are the 3 core cast members, right? So this actually because I didn't know, like, it's not like who's it gonna be. So this is actually talking about the UK Acting Guild working to secure Hannah Whitingham, Brett Goldstein, and Jeremy Swift. So that's the owner. She plays, and Hannah plays the owner of the Richmond, Rebecca Walton. Brett Goldstein plays Roy Kent, and Jeremy Swift plays Leslie Higgins. So and now because they have those 3 secured, they're looking at going over and getting the American actors from SAG-AFTRA to come back. They haven't specified who, but they list in here the executive producers and co-creators, who are Jason Sudeikis and Brendan Hunt, who played Ted Lasso and Coach Beard, respectively, but also believed to be including Juno Temple, who played Keeley, and then a couple of the other stars of the team themselves, and then other things going along there. There's no other details about it, but that was the bulk of it. So, but yeah, I thought that was pretty cool that they're at least looks like they're going towards a season 4. But we don't know what the season 4 will consist of. But if you watched Ted Lasso season 3, which Joe's shaking his head he did not.
I did not finish season 3. I think I got like 3 or 4 episodes into. Don't get me wrong; it's still a great show. It's just for some reason I dropped off of watching it.
But spoiler alert, I guess at the end, Ted himself decides to leave and go home to America from abroad to be with his family, and it's kind of shown that Roy takes over the team in their stead, and it looks like Rebecca decides to keep the team, because at the end of it she was like, I'm kind of thinking about selling the team or whatever, and I don't think they specify it, because she kind of meets a new man and has like a family that she's kind of wants to be with or whatever. But so it'll be interesting. But she's being that she's secured to come back makes me think she's going to be more highly involved in it. So maybe she doesn't sell the team at the end of season 3 and wants to continue, along with Roy and obviously Leslie, who's their director of football operations. So very, very, very exciting for Ted Lasso fans. Maybe that'll get Joe to finish season 3.
Maybe eventually.
He's got so much other things going on in his life.
I have so much going on in my life.
He's so busy.
So busy.
Yeah, so that's all I really had.
Yeah, we'll talk about Alien Ramis next week, Jesus.
Last week. We'll talk about it last week. We have a time machine.
Next week.
That's fine. But that'll be it for this week's episode of Comes Naturally. We have been
Joe.
And I have been Cody. And as usual, you fuckers just came naturally.
Bye.
Almost fucked up the outro.